जय राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंजा विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग जय गौर हरि निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग निताय गौरांग जय गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना गौर हरि जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नदिया बिहारी गौर हरि नदिया बिहारी गौर हरि मायापुर चंद्र गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि जय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय गौर हरि बोल जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद जय जय प्रभुपा 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 जय जय प्रभुपा गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल देवों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य स्तोत्र से तस्वीर श्रीमद् ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत सांस्कृतिक की जाए देवों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य स्तोत्र से तस्वीर श्रीमद् श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जाए आनंद कोटि वैष्णव की जाए नमाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की जाए प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जाए ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जाए नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जाए श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाए गंगामयी यमुनामयी की जाए भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाए समवेत भक्त वृंद की जाए हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाए निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Let me share the screen. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse number 21 to 24. Today we will discuss. Chant repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टाप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। So, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 21. वेद अविनाशिनं नित्यं य एनम् अजम् अव्ययम् कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम् वेद विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनम् अजम् अव्ययम् कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम् वेद विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनम् अजमव्ययम् कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कं घातयति हन्तिकम्. Word to word translation. Veda knows avinashinam, indestructible, nityam, always existing, one who, enam, this soul, ajam, unborn, avyayam, immutable, katham, how, sa, that, purusha, person, pardha, O pardha, Arjuna, kam, whom, gatayati, causes to hurt, hanti, kills, kam, whom. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Please repeat. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Verse number 22. Vedabase.net. You can go and then chapter 2, verse number 22. You can refer if you don't have a book. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani gruhnati naroparani tata sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Very famous verse, so important verse. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grunati naroparani tata sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grunati naroparani tada sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Word to word translation. Vasamsi, garments, jirnani, old and worn out, yata, just as, vihaya, giving up, navami, new garments, grunati, does accept, naraha, a man, aparani, others, tata, in the same way, sarirani, bodies, vihaya, giving up, jirnani, old and useless, anyani, different, samyati, verily accepts, navami, new sets, dehi, the embodied. Translation. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Repeat. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Verse number 23. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं चिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः नैनं चिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः. So what translation? Nah, never. Enam, this soul, Chindanti, can cut to pieces. Shastrani, weapons. Nah, never. Enam, this soul, Dahati, bonds. Pavaka, fire. Nah, never. Cha, also. Enam, this soul, Kledayanti, moistures. Apaha, water. Nah, never. Soshayati, dries. Marutaha, wind. Translation. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. Please repeat. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. I'm reading from verse number 23. Not 23 is done. 24. Verse number 24. अच्छेद्यो अयम् अदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो असोष्य एव च नित्या सर्वगतस्थानोरचलो अयम् सनातनः अच्छेद्योऽयम् अदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो असोष्य एव च नित्या सर्वगतस्थानोरचलोऽयम् सनातनः अच्छेद्योऽयम् अदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो असोष्य एव च नित्या सर्वगतस्थानोरचलोऽयम् सनातनः. Translation. Achedya, unbreakable. I am this soul. Adahya, unable to be burned. I am this soul. Akledya, insoluble. Asosya, not able to be dried. Eva, certainly. Cha and Nitya, everlasting. Sarvagata, all-pervading. Sthanu, unchangeable. Achala, immovable. I am this soul. Sanatana, eternally the same. Translation. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried, is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. To repeat, this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried, is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. That stop here and try to understand. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम्. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. वैष्णव की जय. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्. श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. गौर भक्त की जय. Thank you for joining. So, we are in the second chapter. We are discussing here in this second chapter After Arjuna has surrendered, Arjuna has expressed his doubts and various reasons from chapter 1, and he couldn't perform his duty. Sat down on his chariot, and then in the second chapter beginning also, he started crying, tears of him flowing down. Asu purna kulekshanam, visidantam vidam vacha madhusudana. He asked Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, Madhusudana, who is the killer of Madhu, removed his doubts. And then seeing that condition of Arjuna as a friend, so he didn't become the spiritual master at that time. Just because he hasn't, Arjuna really didn't surrender. He's seeking as a in response as a friend. So then Krishna also responded in the same way to Arjuna. He just instigated him to come above that conditioning. Then he told, you have a defect, come out of this. This is not expected of you. You are supposed to behave much higher than this. Coming from a great Kshatriya family dynasty from both mother and father side. So then Arjuna understood his defects. Then he surrendered to the spiritual master, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Then Krishna started addressing. So there are two sections before this. So pre-qualification before surrendering to spiritual master, that means identifying the defects, identifying our problems, what we are facing, what exactly is happening with us. That is the first qualification we need to have. Understanding that we need to surrender to someone higher authority, sadhu, shastra and guru, spiritual master. So that's what has happened to Arjuna. Then Arjuna surrendered. The 2.7, 1 to 6 is that section 1, pre-qualification before surrender, which requires that identifying the defects and that there is a weakness in our heart, and requires superior authority. And then 2.7 is the surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, where there is a need and there is no other way to understand the Supreme Absolute, to understand and how to resolve the real problems of life. So that's what Arjuna wanted, real solution, not temporary solution, something to solve just for the time being. He wanted Sishya Steham Swadimam Tvam Prapannam. So Yasreyasyam, permanently, not Preyasyam. Preya means temporary, Sreya means eternally. Eternally he wants to solve the problem. So then once he surrendered, then Krishna started explaining, answering his questions, addressing his, removing his doubts. So this is called Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, first section after Arjuna surrendered. This is section 3 in the second chapter. So it has various sections, in that way it is called contents of Gita summarized. Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and then we have Karma Yoga, and then we have Nishkama Karma Yoga, and then we have Samadhi, Bhakti Yoga, glimpse of Bhakti, and then called Samadhi. So that is from 55 to 72 verse. From verse number 11 to 30 is Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, 30 to 40 or so is Karma Yoga, then 40 to 53, 54, until Arjuna asked the question. First time Arjuna asked the question. That is, until that point is Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then from there to end is Samadhi. So in this way this chapter is divided. Now we are in the middle section of the Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, where Krishna started and giving answers where Lord, as Arjuna expressed his doubts or reasons. I don't want to fight because of compassion, I don't want to fight because of enjoyment. No enjoyment. If I fight, whom I am going to share this opulence with? Compassion for his own family members. Kauravas are also their family members. So in that way he was attached to his Bhishma and Drona specifically, and then others also. But specifically both of them was deeply attached, and they were the masters. They taught them, they served them in so many different ways. So then that's why Krishna started giving the first and foremost important knowledge of any living entity. This is the first and foremost understanding, and it has to be taught regularly, and it has to be studied regularly. It has to be reminded regularly. Utmost importance is there. This is the fundamental knowledge, but it is the foremost importance is there. Otherwise, we can see every day, even though we might have read this chapter again and again, we might have heard these verses again and again that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. But again tomorrow starts, same thing, we operate on the same platform. So that's why it has to be, it is reminded everywhere. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada's lectures also, we see this body and soul difference is explained, reminded. It is reminding us everywhere. That means these specific verses, this specifically from this today's verses, it is giving the hint. The title of this section will be removing understanding. This is the Anartha we have, and removing this Anarthas in our heart. The conditioning of this, the change of this dress. You are so much attached to this dress. That is Anartha. So how to come out of this Anartha? That is what is important. How to move away from this temporary happiness. We want quick return, quick money. Quickly want to get some, $500,000 or million and then get out from here or retire or whatever. Everybody wants quick bucks. So we want quick solutions. Quickly fix the problems. In IT jobs also, we try to fix things quickly. We don't, many times we forget, we don't look for the permanent solution. So in this way, but here, these verses are telling how to look for permanent happiness, eternal happiness, Sanatana. We see that word in the last verse. We'll discuss that. What exactly is that Sanatana means? Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana Dhamma, Sanatana, our position is Sanatana. The many aspects of that will come to that understanding. So that is the crux of this particular section. In the previous section we were discussing, it is talking about after explaining about we are not this body, body is temporary, body is not enduring, the soul is never changing, soul is eternal. And so the negative negativity of the body is explained, temporary, and it's going to be diminished. Body is going to be changing, going through 6 transformations. Body is born, and then growth, then byproducts, then again old age, and then disease, and finally dwindling, death. These are 6 transformations of any living entity, whether human being or other animal, birds, reptiles, insects, plants. All these things are going on. So for all these living entities, it is explained here that how this living entity is being conditioned in this way in all these aspects. So that's why here the negativity is explained as the gross attachment, or in the yoga ladder it is mentioned as Annamaya Kosha or Pranamaya Kosha, the first 2 levels. That means very dull intelligence. So they are not aware of inquiry. They are not inquiring about the absolute truth. So that is what is been explained. So that's why we discussed about those sections are called network of illusion at the gross level, at the body, the gross body and gross senses. This body is made up of gross, which is what we see externally. This body, the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, everything included. Gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. These 5 things. When this material universe was created, these are the first things which came about. First thing was the sound along with the ether. Then one by one came. So the air and water and fire and earth. In this way, 5 elements came. So these are the gross elements. This is the gross body, and it has this jnanendriyas. That is the ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And it has its objects: the hearing, the touch, the taste, the smell. In this way, the taste, smell, and hearing, and vision. So the seeing. So in this way, 5 senses, 5 jnanendriyas, and it has its attachments. That is what is. We are being illusioned constantly on the gross bodily platform. Here also Arjuna was illusion. So that's why Krishna answered that question. Your real compassion is supposed to be for the soul, not for this body. The temporary body is going to be done pretty soon. So you shouldn't be worried. You should act on the platform of the soul. You go above this gross bodily condition. Don't be attached to these sense objects. Don't be allured by these senses dragging you. The vision, the hearing, the touch, so the taste, the smell, and so dragging us. So be absorbed in the actual, real, permanent things, not the temporary things. So in this, then we discussed at the next and then we discussed about the positive aspects in the last two verses where it is mentioned about how does not jayate what is it the 19th verse number 19, yeah, 20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूय अजो नित्यः शाश्वतो अयं प्राणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Yes, and then before the verse is telling soul cannot be killed, neither soul is killable. That means people think that some people, those who are thinking that soul is the one who's killing, is in ignorance. Neither soul can be killed, nor soul is the one who's killing. Then who's killing? Then who's doing the action? It is the desire of a living entity, because of the desire of the living entity, three modes of material nature is acting, and that's why we received this body. Asangoyam Purusha. Actually, there is no soul is eternal. Soul is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. That means full of eternality, full of knowledge, and full of bliss, happiness. That's why nobody wants to die. Nobody wants misery and distress. Everybody is looking for happiness. And eternal. That's why that is the characteristics of the soul. So that's why we are always trying to get happiness through different mediums. But we are not understanding that those mediums what we are trying is not giving real happiness. So that is what is explained in this specific. So the soul is not the one who's actually doing the action. It is by our desires, Icha and Dvesha. That desire separately from the Lord is the one which is causing, and the three modes of material nature is the one which is forcing. That's why in 3.27 we see that Prakrute Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasa Ahankara Vimodhatma Kartaham iti Mandit. We are thinking we are hey, I am doing the activity, I am supposed to get the promotion, I am supposed to get the return, I am investing here, I am supposed to get the returns. We are always looking for the results. Even when we come to temple also, we are always looking for something in return, business exchange with the Lord also. And that is the propensity we have, tend to enjoy. That's why we are called, Prabhupada is mentioning, we are called Purusha, male or female, doesn't matter, because we have a tendency to enjoy separately from the Lord. So that's why we are called Purusha. Real Purusha is the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. We are minute Purusha. We are being enjoyed by the Supreme Lord. By serving the Supreme Lord, by using things for the Supreme Lord, then we get the enjoyment, actual enjoyment, real enjoyment. Permanent enjoyment, permanent happiness. Sukham atyantikam atindriyam. So that is the actual real happiness, not the temporary happiness. In this way, the last verse, na jayate mriyate va kadachin. In another verse from Seta Prabhupada is quoting, vipaschit, one who is intelligent. Vipaschit means one who is learned and intelligent, he will utilize, that's why we mentioned that as how to utilize the senses in a positive way, because it is talking about the positive characteristic of the soul. Na hanyate hanyamane sariri. Nayam bhutva bhavita bhuya ajo nitya sasoto ayam prano. It is the old age, it is eternal, unborn, the soul. So, and it never deteriorates. Na hanyamane sariri. So, that's a positive things, means we have to retrospectively act on the platform and use the senses in, try to utilize it, filter it. Last week we discussed that. Filter it and then utilize it in Krishna service. Filter the unwanted things and use in a right way. So that now in this verse, this specific from today's verse, the first verse is talking about the same point as last week's. Veda avinashinam nityam means the soul is indestructible, insoluble. Veda avinashinam nityam. Veda avinashinam nityam yayenam ajam avyayam. Katam sa purusha pardha kam gatayati hantakim. So So soul is not the one who is killing, and it cannot be destroyed, indestructible, because it is 1/10,000 tip of the hair. That is the size of the soul. Keshagra Satabhagasya Satada Kalpitasya. Tip of the hair is Kesha means hair. Keshagra Satabhagas 1/10 of 100 portions. You break it, and then again 100 portions. Then so small. We don't have instrument to measure it. We cannot even see it that much small. It is in the heart. The soul is always situated in the heart of a living entity. And super soul is also there in the same place in the heart. And because super soul is there, Paramatma is there, soul is existing. Minute super soul goes away from this body, then finished. Soul is also cannot exist. So if anything existing in this world, in this Brahmanda, because super soul has to be there. Especially in this material, super soul has to be there. Without Supreme Lord's intervention or power or influence or presence, nothing can exist. Neither this universe nor this planetary systems, the stars, whatever we see, the sun, the moon, everything is happening because the Supreme Lord is there in each and every atom. Andantarastu paramanu chayantarastam govinda madhupurushantamam. So that's how this universe is existing or maintained. Lord Vishnu is the maintainer of this universe. So that's why we have to carefully understand this. So now coming to the next verse, very important verses from here. So 22nd onwards. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grihnacha naroparani tada sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Here specifically is mentioning what just like the old clothes, the winter is coming up, we might have old sweaters, old jackets, either we give recycle, sometimes they are torn out, then we are not fit, we grown up, especially during COVID season, we all put a lot of weight, so then it doesn't fit, obviously we have to get rid of it and get new ones. So same way here it is mentioned, just like that we change clothes when we grow. What is growing? So because presence of the soul, the body is growing. Whatever when we are in childhood, young age, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, the body is different. We don't have that same body now. The soul is there. That means the same person is same, personality is same, but the body is changing, the cells are changing, every minute there is a change. Then what is that? Why it is changing? If it is just the body, there is no soul, then how is it changing? Then at the time of death, say as soon as the soul leaves the body, then why is it not changing? There is no movement, neither it has any transformation. So what is that causing? So that is all due to this soul. So that's what is happening. Just like the changing this body, changing these clothes, old garments, we are removing and getting new clothes for the festivals or whenever as needed. Same way we are giving up this old body and taking up new body. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are telling no compassion, enjoyment. Actually, they are becoming old. Whether you believe it or not, they are already old. Bhishma is so old. So his grandfather, Bhishma Pitamaha. So that's why. So he is so old. So then anyway he is going to die. This body, the soul cannot be killed. Soul is not the one who is dying. Body is the one who is dying. Just like we are changing these clothes, changing the jewelry, and then we are wearing the new clothes. Same way as this body is also going to be changed. And there is a nice, wonderful story that we think that there is no soul because some has this idea. But then what is changing? We can see that this is temporary. This body is temporary. The changes are happening because of the soul. In the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that in the coming down from Brahma to Marichi's son Kashyapa, and Kashyapa's son Kashyapa and Aditi's son is Vivaswan, the sun god, and his son is Vaivasvata Manu or Shraddha Deva Manu, Manvantara. Manu is the one who is ruling every one day of Brahma. One day of Brahma is so long period, 1000 yuga cycles. We are in one of the yuga, Kali Yuga. 4 yuga cycles, like that 1000 yuga cycles is one day of Brahma, and one night is also same way. And within that one day of Brahma, 14 manus change. 14 manus change. So each manu, each manu has a specific name. Manvantras. These are also expansions of the Supreme Lord. Different incarnations of the Supreme Lord. This Manvantara avatar is one of the incarnations. So like that, there is a Vaivasvata Manvantara. We are in Vaivasvata Manvantara. That's why when you do puja, they chant this mantra. Pradama Pade Jambodvipe Bhartakande Bhartavarse. When you get then Vaivasvata Manvantare, so Chandramane in this way, so that they specifically mention this Manvantara and day name, Vara's name, month name, like that. So that Vaivasvata Manu, so this Manu, so Vaivasvata Manu didn't had any sons, daughters, any kids. So then he was really morose, really in lamenting. Then he approached his Kula Guru, his spiritual master Vasista. Then they performed a yajna, and then this is not in Kali Yuga, obviously, before. So then, before, this is in before, as Manvantara has explained, 14 times Manus change in one day of Brahma, 1000 Yuga cycles. So that means one Manu's time is 71 Yugas, 71 Yuga cycles. You can imagine. That is also very long. That's why we are thinking we are the greatest, but we are so minute. Earthly planet, our time compared to the just like above us, Bhuvar Loka or Swarga Loka, heavenly planet, is is very minute. Relatively, we are so small compared to, if you compare with ant or frog, obviously we are the greatest. But if you compare to anybody who is in the higher planets, we are so minute. So that's why we have to be grounded. We shouldn't think that we are the greatest. So I forgot the point. As it is mentioned here, the cloths, worn cloths are taken out and jewelry is taken out, and we are wearing new clothes. Same way, the living entity is getting we are talking about the example from ninth canto. Vaivasvata Manu has a son, he didn't have son, Vasishtha Muni was praying. Vasishtha Muni performed a yajna to give him a son. Meantime, the priest was chanting these mantras, and then Manu's time is so long, so that's why this is not in Kali Yuga, previously, before Kali Yuga. So then the priest whoever was there, then his Vaivasvata Manu's wife was there, Shraddha Devi. Then she asked for a daughter. Actually, Vaivasvata Manu wants a son, but somehow or the other she had desired a daughter. And then at the time of oblation, the priest heard his wife's desire, then he chanted Tadastu. Then because of that, then it produced a daughter, not instead of a son. So then he was okay. He was happy that at least he has kids. But he was not so happy because he was looking for son, because he is a king who's going to rule. So son has to rule. So that he was looking for a son. So that time he was again unhappy, and then he approached Vasishtha, and then Prabhupada explained there this the previous ages and even this age, especially for Kali Yuga, this mantra has to be chanted properly. Unless we are rightly situated, we cannot chant this Vedic mantras properly. If you chant mantra a little bit deviantly, finish, the result will be something else. That's what has happened. How come we are situated? We have the great priest and we have Vasishtha Muni, we are following in a right way. How come we got an undesired result? We are looking for son. Vasishtha Muni started this yajna for a son. How come we got a daughter? Then Vasishtha Muni explained, this is because of the priest and because of your wife's desire. In this way, this has happened. But don't worry. Then he prayed to the Supreme Lord. He invoked the Supreme Lord's mercy. Then by his prayers, then obviously Supreme Lord can do anything. Then it transformed the female. They named the girl as Ila. Ila Vrutavarsha, sometimes Bhartavarsha, Ila. So the Ila has been transformed into male. His name called King Sudyumna. King Sudyumna. In ninth canto, this story is there. King Sudyumna. He was so beautiful. In this way, Vasishtha Muni's prayers, he became male. Then as gradually, then when he became I think whatever 17, 18 young, then he was ready to go to forest, and as a Kshatriya's duty, they are supposed to improve their skills, sharpen their skills, fighting with animals, not like nowadays. Somebody else is going to do. But the actual king used to fight directly. So then, in that same way, he went with his associates to the forest. Then he entered into a place in the northern direction under Mount Sumeru place, and then he went to a place where it is not supposed to be entered. That place is Lord Shiva is engaged with Ambika, internal activities, so confidential activities. So then that place is called Sukumara Forest in Mount Sumeru, in the lower portions of Sumeru. And because of that, then there was a previous history. Then Lord Shiva has given a blessing to his wife. Anybody who enters into this arena of forest, Sukumara forest, at this area of lower side of the lower portion of Mount Sumeru, they will become female. Any male entering there will become female. So King Siddhyumna, he didn't know, he doesn't have that knowledge. He and all his associates, everybody turned into female. Everybody turned into female. So their Prabhupada quotes explain this. This is the word. People will not doesn't believe that there is soul, but is right now the male got changed, transformed into female. So then temporarily male got transformed. King Sudyumna became a woman. Okay, suddenly, and there is also now the science is there. They change the male into female and female into male nowadays, but this is there. So but not by mechanically, by the prayers, by their mystic powers, they could do that. See, Lord Shiva is not ordinary. So because of that, King Sudyumna, then obviously he became morose, and then moon was attracted to King Sudyumna. Obviously, the moon god married him, married her, because Sudyumna became a woman. Then from there, Pururava was born. But either way, so because then they came back, then Vasishtha, the Vayavaswata Manu prayed to Vasishtha again. Then again, because of the prayers, then they gave a boon. Lord Shiva gave a boon. Okay, 1 month you will be a male, 1 month you will become female. So it has to change. Finally, he retired. He gave it to Pururava, his kingdom, and then he retired into Vanaprastha at an early age. And so in this way, this body is temporary. Sometimes we may get a male body, sometimes we may get female body. So we should just like that. And we think that we are this body, and we constantly identify. Just like we take a car. Sometimes, many times, we identify with the car. Sometimes, especially if it is a expensive and nice, beautiful new car, we're so mesmerized, we're attracted by the beauty of it. We have one car and then we start buying second and third car. We don't understand how this ardha must be utilized, and we start buying these things, and then it is causing a great attachment, and then we try to identify with that, and the minute something happens, then we get lament. Even a small dent, somebody scratches it, and imagine some accident happens, then it's even much more disturbance and anxiety. It creates great anxiety. So that car is temporary. We are not the car. Actually, the person who is sitting inside and driving, because that machine is driving. Without a person sitting in, it is not, even though if it is a automatic car, still somebody has to create that machine. Somebody has to put that whole process, AI, artificial intelligence, and somebody has to run through some robotic process. Then only still it is still human intervention is required, even without any person, car is driving, still there is a person behind it. So, but it is all temporary. We are not the car. The car is going to get destroyed. It becomes old. Then again we buy a new car. So same way this body is being changed. Same way the planets we are, and then sometimes we are taking up this body. There is a living species, living form, whether it's human being or animal or aquatics or insects or birds. We are entering into different species of life on different planets, depending on what kind of activity we perform. It is mentioned Karanam Gunasangasya Sad Asad Janma Yonishu. Many places it is mentioned Purusha Prakriti Stohi Jair Gunam, Bunte Bojete. So, because he is trying to enjoy with this car, trying to enjoy this body. And that's why it is mentioned that Isvara Sarvabhutanam Hruddeshorjana Tishtati, Brahmayati Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudani Maya. So, Lord Ishvara, Supreme Lord Shri Krishna has expanded as Paramatma, Super Soul, is sitting. It is like a machine. This body is like a machine. Just like the car, we are sitting in one day in a Benz, one day in a BMW, one day in some other car. We are thinking, we are identifying with that. It's like that we have received this body. In the last life, we might have a human body or some other body. Or in some other family we are born. It is some bank balance, certain beauty, certain way we look, certain characteristics we have in that life, in that previous life. How these different cars look, same way that we are receiving these different machines, different bodies. Yantra Rodani Maya, and it is rotating. So it is rotating in different planets. Within this Brahmanda, going from one planet to another, and depending on what type of activity, if they are operating on the mode of ignorance, they will go to lower species or lower planets. Ado Gachanti Tamasa. Jaganna Guna Uttista Ado Gachanti Tamasa. Whether he will like it or not like it, whether he will believe in God or not believe in God. It is not a question of belief. The material nature is forcing. Just like you are in a particular country or in any country, it doesn't matter. Whether you believe it or not, when you perform certain activities which is not as per the rules given for that country or city or state, what will they do? The judge will give the result that you will be imprisoned for 6 months or a year or whatever, depending on what type of activity we have done. So it is not a question of your belief. It is a question of what is the injunction of the Shastra, what is the injunction of the rule of that particular place. So people think that this is something to do with the faith or belief. No, it is not to do with the faith or belief. So just like this, the rules are given injunctions of the Shastra. It is Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. That's why this Vedas, this Vedic knowledge, the absolute truth is called Apaurusheya. It is not created by the man. It is created by the Supreme Lord. It has come from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. This is called, that is a Apaurusheya, it is called, this Vedic knowledge. And it is eternally there. From there, all other knowledge has been extracted. All other religions, all other things came about later on. This Vedic knowledge is there eternally. Eons and eons, eternally is there. He is the one who has given the knowledge to, we are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, ISKCON. So Lord Krishna is the one who has given the knowledge to Lord Brahma. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikave Muhyanti Yatsure. Within the heart, through Gayatri Mantra, by Krishna's fruit, he has received the mantra and all the knowledge has been revealed within his heart. How to conduct his business as a Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, four-headed Brahma for this smallest universe. Because he has to expand this population. Who gets what type of body in what planet, where he will be. So all those things. He has to take care of this material activities of this universe. So that's why he cannot do with one head, one brain. He needs 4 heads, 4 brain for this universe. The other universe has 10 heads and 100 head, 1000-headed Brahma also there. And there is a past time when Lord Krishna, when this 4-headed Brahma approached Lord Krishna, and then there is a doorman asking, Brahma was asking, please tell your boss that Lord, that Brahma has come. Then again he got an answer back that, which Brahma are you? So then, then he realized how many Brahmas are there. Then because he was puffed up, then he realized that I am nothing. They tell them that I am 4-headed Brahma is waiting outside. I am the father of 4 Kumaras. Because the Uch Brahma, he may not remember, but these 4 Kumaras are great, his sons are great devotees. So Lord will know definitely, Lord will remember which Brahma, who am I, by the identification with Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana, 4 Kumaras. They didn't become, they didn't marry, because Brahma wanted them to procreate, expand the creation population. But they said, no, we don't want to marry. We don't want to be entangled. We want to be as brahmacharis. We want to progress in bhakti. So that's why they never took So they became great devotees. Four Kumara. There is a Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya. Nimbarka Swami is there. Nimbarka Sampradaya. They also worship Lord Krishna. So that is one of the Sampradaya from four Kumaras. And four Kumaras are getting knowledge from Lord Sankarshan, who is sitting all the way in a Garbhodaka ocean below, all the way lowest planet below, all the way. And they are constantly receiving Srimad Bhagavatam is being recited. And they are hearing from Anantadev, Lord Sankarshan. These four Kumaras are hearing regularly. So and we see that, so here, so that when it says Vasamsi Jana, giving up the old body, giving up this old clothes, same way this body is becoming old. Krishna is telling Arjuna, this Bhishma and Drona, they are anyway are old. They are going to give up this body and get a new body. You shouldn't be worried about this. This is Anartha. This is those who doesn't have a proper knowledge, they will be attached to this temporary body. So they are going to, because how long are you going to keep this twisted and wrinkled body? Everybody wants to look nice, beautiful. They want to color the hair and color this, color that. So many things we want to beautify our body in so many different ways as we grow older and older. Even we beautify our cars also. We clean the car and we do so many things to the car. We attach so many things, want new gadgets and whatnot. We're always trying to beautify the temporary things which is not going to stay permanently. So that is the biggest disease, actually, biggest disease. That's why Shastra Vyasdev is mentioning this. This is conditioned by these three modes of material nature. So what is the remedy? Vyasdev is mentioning that Anartha Upasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje. Anartha Upasamam, only remedy is to engage in the worship of Adokshaja, Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje. Anartha Lokas Ajanato Vidvam Chakre Satvat Samhita. So they don't know, most of the people don't know that there is a higher truth, the permanent, how to get this permanent happiness and give up these anarthas. That means using the artha for material motives, for material benefits. Using the artha instead of using the artha means wealth. It could be any type of wealth. It could be money, it could be our resources, jewelry, clothes, car, you name it. All this part of the artha, obviously. So that when that artha is used with the motive of enjoying for our own, not using it for Lord's service, then it becomes vyardhata. It creates anxiety, it creates distress and disturbance, it creates anger, so illusion, pride, and then obviously enviousness. And we have seen that. Somebody has, then why I don't have that car? He's not working, he's not intelligent, he's not smart, but how come he has these many cars? How come I don't have? This all is because starting with that thought process itself. So that's why it has a deep meaning. This when it says that giving up these old clothes and new clothes. Some further it is mentioned. It also means that sometimes people think that this soul is attached to the body. Actually, soul is not attached to the body. In the later verses, we see that Sanatana word is used. That means eternally we are separated. The soul is not attached to the body. And soul has a personal form. Because it makes sense if you logically think about it. When we are wearing a shirt and pant, there is a hands and there is a legs. We are taking a measurement and we are making the dress. If for this body we are wearing the dress with those measurements, with his hands and legs and waist and whatnot, then what makes us think that soul doesn't have a form? Because we are not able to see the spiritual form, we are thinking that there is no soul. This body is all in all. And we are identifying with this body constantly, day after day, whole life. So that's what Shastra is telling. Understand this truth from the Lokas Ajanartha Chakre Satvata Samhitam, that is Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Understand the actual reality, real truth and real happiness from this Vedic text, from a bona fide Acharya, bona fide Sampradaya. Then we will be able to come to that actual identification with the soul and the relation with the super soul. So that way, that is the actual remedy of performing this bhakti yoga. So that's what is mainly mentioned. So in the same way, just like the how the dress, what we are wearing, the shirt, the pant, is it attached to the body? We are wearing it on the body, but is it attached? No, it is not attached. Two different things. The dress is different from the body. Same way, the soul is never together with the body. It is a covering. That's why it is called embodied. That is why it is called Dehi. That means one who is possessing currently, the soul is being embodied within this. And that is why it is called Dehi, one who is possessing currently. Because of the desire separately to enjoy from the Lord, that's why we are possessing this. And it requires a qualification. What type of qualification we have, what type of body, that type of body we are receiving. Urdhvam gacchanta satvastha. We will go to higher planet, higher species of higher human being, higher demigods, or janaloka, tapaloka, sages, different types of higher species of life, higher human form of life will receive if we perform in mode of goodness. So, urdhvam gacchanta satvastha. When we are operate on the mode of goodness, when we use our free will, independence will increase. We are thinking we are independent. Actually, when we operate in mode of goodness, our more independence is there. When we operate in mode of passion, we are being restricted actually. And when we operate in mode of goodness, ignorance, even restricted further. So when we operate even Visuddha Sattva, we have more free will, actually, more independence actually. That's how it is. Material nature is forcing actually. Material nature is forcing. We are thinking, no, or no, for Supreme Lord there is no force. Only for the living entity, we are being forced with the material nature. When we perform action, we are trying to do whatever we like. But the reaction is who is forcing? Material nature is forcing. Just like the judge is forcing, the president is forcing, the company CEO is forcing, manager is forcing the reaction. Because of our actions, because of the way we operate, the way we behave, the way we work, then the company owner, company managers, they give certain reaction. Sometimes we get demoted from level 10 to level 9. Sometimes our bonus gets cut off. Sometimes we are in that level where we are under more scrutiny what we are doing. So there are many levels like this in IT also, especially if we are full time. Same way, if this is for the material job, and imagine what happens in the spiritual things. We think that there is no survival, there is no supervision. How do we think that? It doesn't make any sense because that's why we have to read the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam under supervision, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master and advanced devotees. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyitaya sacharacharam hetunanena kaunte. So this material universe, material nature is working under the divine supervision of the Supreme Lord. So that's why this verse purport, you see clearly, there is a super soul is a bird and the soul is another bird. Super soul is a bird, as a manager, as a director, is watching. He is just watching. And then he is guiding. What is director supposed to do? Director is supposed to do direction. He is not supposed to do action. He is not supposed to actually tell in detail. He can only give direction. That is director's job. If he is doing a hands-on thing, then he is not called director. So that's how they give the titles actually. Associate director. More you go up, more you are supposed to delegate it, not possess something, not be attached. Leader means you are supposed to grow and you are supposed to let others grow also. Be compassionate, be merciful. That is the quality of actual leader. But today's world, we are being guided by the blind leader. Nate vidu swartha gatim durasaya bahirabdam. We are hoping again the hope. Something is going to happen without doing actual work. Something out of blue, I am going to get a promotion out of blue, some bonus is going to come out of blue, I am going to finish this project and I am going to become successful in this business or whatever investment, let me invest here, there. So many things we are thinking. This is the hope against hope. That is why Shastra is telling. Nate vidu swadhana. What is the real destination? What is the real happiness? What is permanent things? We are not able to, because we are being blind in the vision, like Dhritarashtra is being blind-sighted in the vision, and then on top of that, the leaders, whoever is guiding us, also are blind-sighted. So that's a nate vidu swartha gatim durasaya bahirabdaman anda yatandeir Upaniyamana, Depisatanta Urudam Nibadde. We are being blind and we are being guided by the blind also. And we are being caught with these ropes. And the ropes is three modes of material nature. Urudam Nibadde. We are being bound by the ropes. That is three modes of material nature. So we are not realizing it. Actually, material nature is forcing us. That's why we are suffering. This COVID situation is also the same way. Sometimes collectively, sometimes individually we suffer because of the what kind of activities we perform together or individually. Then accordingly the reaction has to be received. It is not by a question of a choice. It is not a question of a belief or a faith. It is a question of our actions, our desires. So that's why this verse is telling. That's why here in this purport we see from Prabhupada that there is a bird, the super soul, Anumanta Upadrasta, is seeing a director. The super soul is a director, is directing the living entity, the soul, the living entity bird, directing, just watching and directing. Hey, this is not a good idea to do. He is only directing. And he is leaving, he is free will, it is up to him. He can only direct and give a vision. This is supposed to be done. This is not supposed to be done. That's all he will tell. And then the intelligence, if his mind and senses are more agitated, he doesn't have a bhakti unmukha sukruti, he has so much of a karma unmukha sukruti, so much fruitive activity, business mentality, something in return, something wants to enjoy, then obviously he will not perceive, he will not understand the actual instruction received from the super soul, the director, and we want to do in our own way. Then what can be done? Super soul, the director cannot force it because it is love. It is not by force. So always Supreme Lord can only direct, he can only give instructions. If you are receptive, if you want to follow, then we will be able to understand and implement it. Otherwise, we get caught with our own ideas and thoughts. That is why the speculation must be given up. That is the first thing. So unless we read and hear these speculations, we all have speculations at different levels. So these speculation has to be given up and then follow the direction of the Shastra from advanced. And self-reading, we should read self, but we should also hear regularly. Then only we can understand. Otherwise, there is no possibility of understanding this deep subject matter. Otherwise, when we read the same verse 10 years ago, I also have read and I have heard also from the others, from the different songs. Also, we hear just the verses chanting. But it is very easy topic, easy understanding that yes, we always change the clothes, old clothes, and we wear new clothes. What is the big deal about it? But as we really did we implement it, did we practice it on day-to-day basis? Did we operate on the platform? No, not at all. We are constantly in this immersion of this body, the concept everywhere. As we drive this car, as we drive this body in different places throughout the day, from morning to evening, we are constantly driving the senses. Charioteer, who is the charioteer? Charioteer is Krishna or charioteer is our senses? So who is taking the reins? That we have to see actually. Whether actually we are being directed by the Supreme Lord or we directed by our senses. And senses are overpowering the mind and intelligence because of the so much the Jnana Indriyas are attached. So that's why it is very important point here it is mentioned. Please be guided by the super soul. Follow the instruction. Pay attention deep within and understand what the instruction is coming. So how it will come? When the intelligence is sharpened by the Shastra, when you hear more, then we become more receptive. We develop bhakti unmukha sukruti. Then we become more receptive. Otherwise, like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, Krishna is not speaking Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, nor anyone else on the battlefield. Who is receptive? Arjuna was receptive. That's why he is only speaking to Arjuna. He only thought he has identified as defect, he only thought as a weakness, and he has only approached Krishna. Nobody else has approached. Everybody is ready to fight on the platform of the body. So that's why there's a big difference. So when we are receptive, when we are trying to understanding that there is a higher nature, there is a higher level, there is a higher happiness, there is a permanent things. So then when we have the thought process, immediately super soul is guiding, Krishna is guiding, directing Arjuna to be in that state of consciousness so that he can receive the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why he has received it. Nobody else received it. So So that means in order to receive the mercy, it is not just offering obeisances. Yes, pranam Prabhu, dandavat Prabhu. So this is good, offering pranam to seniors, but it has to be move. We have to move from that state to the next state. It is not externals. External is good, wearing the dhoti or kanti mala, all this is good, but we have to go deep within. Means we have to grow internally. We have to go much more. We have to put that into practice. That is the important. The whole Bhagavad Gita is all about the practice only, internal practice. How we put in the practice, how we change our behaviors, how we change our actions. That's where that anxiety has to be transformed. We're discussing this. So that senses is very difficult to control unless we surrender to Edupate. So, and we have to love the Buddhis. It is mentioned, love the Buddhi means we have to awaken our spiritual intelligence. That will come by regularly hearing and reading from in the association of devotees. So that's what this verse is telling. And the later verses, 2 verses, are talking about how this the soul is indestructible, insoluble, because people may think that they have this idea, Mayavadis especially, to counteract that Krishna is clearly giving this direction. Because somebody may say, oh, the soul and individual soul and super soul, there is no actually difference. Currently conditioned, we can become the Lord. God is also like us. But we see that throughout Bhagavad, these 2 verses, in other places we see that Krishna clearly mentioned, living entity becomes conditioned, becomes attached, but then I never become attached. Na karmani limpanti, na karma phalespoha. I never receive the results of the effects of the living entities. I never become attached to the results or the reactions. So Krishna is mentioning, neither I am being forced to appear. I am appearing based on the yoga, my own internal free will. Ajo bisan abhi atma bhotanam iswaro bisan. Sambhavami atma maya, internal potency. My own choice I am appearing. And that further it is mentioned, Mayavadi's theory is like you take a pot. Within the pot, within those walls of the pot, there is a sky. Outside there is a sky. When you break the pot, what will happen? The sky and sky, everything is homogeneous. So that is the theory of Ghatakas and Patakas. Prabhupada explained. That means they are thinking this individual soul also becomes super soul. It becomes homogeneous. That means the soul will merge into the super soul. It also becomes Narayana. They have this theory. But Shastra is telling, what is Shastra is telling here in this verse? Soul cannot be immovable. It cannot be burned. It cannot be withered. It cannot be dried. That means soul exists everywhere. Soul needs a place. That means where soul will exist. That means how long are we going to fly in the air? Can we stay in the air within the sky? How long are we going to stay? Is there a variety? No, we want to come down. How long are we going to fly in the plane? Maybe 2 days, 1 day, 3 days. Even when we go on the ship also, how many days we want to go? Maybe 1 month, 2 months. After that, we will also get vexed. We want to go back to our actual earth. Because that is not our normal state. That is abnormal actually. So that's why we have to be within that. So the soul is there in everywhere. Soul is not only there in the material universe. It is there in the sun planet also, because the fiery element is more. There are living entities who is in the sun. There are living entities who is in the air. There are living entities in the fire. There are living entities in the earth. In this way, all these water, everywhere there are living entities. Sarva gatasthanu. And individual living entity never mixed with the super soul. Super soul is different from the soul. So when the green bird is going into the green tree, it never merged. Even though everything is green, it becomes merged. But actually, individuality never gets merged. Individuality is always there. So it cannot be understood in this way. If the soul cannot be burned, soul cannot be broken, soul cannot be withered, then how do we think that it is homogenized? That's why Krishna is clearly quoting here. You may have an idea that yes, soul can be mixed with super soul. No, it can never be. Just like as we are discussing, our dress, our shirt and pant is not mixed with the body, then how do we think that the body is mixed with the soul? Two different, it is just a casing. It is just a casing within. The soul is there on the top. Within that there is a body. So that body can be removed. It can be separated. It is not attached to it. It is not like a machine part actually. That's why eternally, Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhota Sanatana. Eternally part and parcels. That means it is not there is no time and place. It is eternally we are part and parcels. It is not like you break a paper and then there are pieces and then again you try to mix it up and it becomes original paper. It is not that kind of conception. It is eternally we are a separated part and parcels of Krishna. Super soul, either super soul, Sachidananda Vigraha is unborn, is eternal, is fully cognizant and is such chit and fully knowledgeable and then full of ananda happiness. Same way the living entity also, but in a minute quality. Quality is same but quantity is minute. We are the small creator, we can create, we can also a small enjoyer. So in this way we have to think, he is the greatest, Supreme Lord can do so many wonders. He can float the planets, he can float anything. As Lord Ramachandra, he floated the stones in that Rama Setu. So same as Lord can do anything because he is floating big, what is the big deal of floating the stones? So because the people think when they don't have the idea, understand this, use their logic and argument, they don't use properly their senses, then they cannot understand these simple things. So that's how Krishna is explaining here. This kind of conception or thought and theory should be removed from the hearts. We should remove this kind of ignorance. Soul can never mix with super soul. Like the dress cannot be mixed, doesn't mix with the body. We take it out. Because if it is mixed with the body, then like you cut a finger, then you get a pain. Are we getting a pain when we remove the dress? No, we are not getting pain. Because it is not together with the body. It is not inside the body. It is not attached to the body. It is outside layer. Same way when the body is changing, because we are identified, like sometimes we have a child, they have, so they might have grown up, we have their shoe or we have their toys or we have their dress, suddenly they become grow, especially these days, this is very common, 16, 17 when they go to university, that's it, they never show up. Once in a while, blue moon, they may show up after 5, 6 years or some marriage or something. Otherwise, they don't show up in the parents' house. So then, but because of that attachment for 16, 15 years, so obviously that is there, then it creates anxiety and distress and so much. It cannot be expressed outside, but deep within it grows inside the heart. That unhealthy, it cannot be expressed, but it's not so good actually for the parents. When we have that so deep attachment we develop, when that attachment is not transferred to Krishna and Krishna is not in the center, this creates a great unwanted, unhealthy thing in the heart for them because kids are behaving in that way these days. So that creates anxiety. The same thing is happening. So that's why we have to be very careful where we put our attachment, where we put our efforts. There's nothing wrong to be attached to the kids, but we have to see in relation with Krishna. They can be independent, but we have to see that they are also part and parcel of Krishna. They are the souls, they are the spirit souls also. So just like we are Father, they have come from us, but actually who is who has given the soul? That is coming from the Supreme Lord, as Krishna mentioned. Jiva Loke, Jiva Bodha Sanatana, eternally. And then what is Sanatana Dharma? Sanatana Dharma is not an idea of India or America or some country. It is eternally. This knowledge is there eternally. It is not specific to one position or one country or one place or one faith. People think this idea is a Hindu Dharma or something. No, there is no concept of Hindu Dharma in the whole Bhagavad Gita. You will never find that word at all. It is called Sanatana Dharma because eternal occupational duty of a living entity. Eternal religion, how to develop love of God. It is not talking about any something of a faith. And actually our original occupation, everybody is serving others. Same way, actually our original occupation is to serve the Supreme Lord. Through Supreme Lord, we can serve all others in that relation. that becomes that brings permanent happiness, but it requires tremendous practice. For theory, it is very easy to tell, but when it comes to practice, it requires great intensity. It requires some thought process. It requires some reflections, introspections on a day-to-day basis. Then only this can change our behavior. Otherwise, it is very difficult. As Yudhishthira Maharaj couldn't even change because he is very accustomed to use to tell the truth. And then when minute Krishna told him, you have to tell a lie, Ashwadhama Kunjara, then he couldn't tell. He said, no, 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 I cannot tell this lie. Even though Krishna is telling, he couldn't tell because so much attached to his way of behavior, his action. He wanted to do in a certain way. But when Krishna wanted him to do, then he couldn't do it. So then obviously he did it later on. So that's why we have to be, in order for to do that, then we have to have introspection, we have to be guided by the authority. And it requires certain practice on a regular basis. So that's why it is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So regularly we have to read ourselves and we have to hear regularly also. So in this way, these verses are telling, clearly defining what is the characteristic of the soul, how it is Sanatana. Eternally we are part and parcel, and we have to follow the Sanatana Dharma, which is serving the Supreme Lord in whatever way, whatever capacity, within our time, place, circumstance. And then, and the planets also Sanatana, the eternal planets. We have to enter into the spiritual world. That is the actual. Currently, we are in this material, temporary material world, which is constantly changing. As the colors are changing for the leaves, as the trees, leaves are falling. That is also another example, as we can see that clothes are worn out and we are removing. Same way, the colors are changing because of the sun and moon. Sun's temperature is not like in India, but here in Western countries, the sun's temperature and the condition is different. So that's why the leaves are falling off. But again they will get new. That doesn't mean that a tree is gone. No, tree is there still. It is the external appearance. No leaf is there now. The skin, it is bare bone, body. When you look at the trees now, all the leaves are gone. Same way, but again, leaves are going to come up in just in few months. So they are getting new body. Same way, is telling Arjuna. Krishna is telling Arjuna, why are you worried so much, caught up to perform your duty? You are caught up in this external dress. It is just a matter of days is going to change, like your cells are changing every minute. Can you stop it? No, you cannot stop it. Then how can you stop the body to change? Bhishma and Drona's body is going to change. Give up this body is going to get a new body, whether spiritual body or depending on actions. They may get another human body, nice body. When we are child, when we are effulgent, we are nice and beautiful. When as we grow old, we become wrinkled and our beauty gets reduced. We ultimately, what is it made of? Kapha, Pitta and Vayu, bag of bones, bag of mucus, bag of blood. But we don't realize it because of the constant attachment, like we are attached to the kids' dress, kids' things, items, the various things, what they leave and go when they go to university. All those things by looking at, oh, my son used to like this, my son used to do this. All these remembrance are the reminiscence of remembrance of the kids. So then that becomes, then when they are not there, the separation causes great anxiety. But if same thing is there in relation with Krishna, despite when they leave, we don't have that feeling. Yes, we have them. We always pray to the Lord. Let the Lord may guide them wherever they are. Let them be independent, but let the Lord guide them in such a way. So that's why it requires some culture, it requires some intelligence, it requires some practice. So that way we are safeguarded from every direction. Otherwise, it will just simply be Sutamita Ramani Samaj. Just be attachment on the material motives. And that's what these verses, these 3-4 verses, what we are discussing today, that is the crux of the matter, basically. So, how to be not attached to the temporary happiness, how to transfer from material happiness to permanent happiness, how to transfer from material anxiety, material distress, material pressures, and then how to come to the actual real thing, real happiness, spiritual anxiety, and instead of going through distress and pressure, we are constantly pressurized by other living entities, our neighbors, students or kids are pressured by the peers, peer pressure. Even in office also we have these things. So this is constantly. But when Krishna is involved, We will not feel any pressure. Doesn't matter. If somebody has it, who cares? So we just care about what Krishna wants us to do. So we don't care about what is happening with others. Yes, anything positive is there. Yes, we take those positive points and we try to improve our behavior and improve our actions. But otherwise, we don't compare. We don't compare why he has it, why I don't have it. That conception will not be there. More we become mature in this transcendental knowledge which Krishna is giving, educating Arjuna and educating all of us. So with that, we'll stop here. We'll continue the discussion. It is a prolonged subject. We'll take any questions if anybody has. Or we will have to sing Damodar already 9:30. Any questions so far? Any questions on the Google Meet? Okay, no questions. Any questions on the phone?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Just a
ma'am.
small quick clarification, Babaji.
Yes.
We see like some devotees are like senior devotees and nicely performing bhakti and chanting and everything. But still we see like, externally they're like materially engrossed. So should we like, how do we understand this kind of situation, Babaji? And how should we approach it? Because we don't want to like, mentally even think anything wrong with such
Right.
devotees. Hare Krishna.
It depends. So it depends. The Vaishnavya Kriya Mudra Shastra is telling externally they sometimes, because just like Mukunda Datta Prabhu was there as an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Externally, he was a great devotee of the Lord. So as soon as he saw the peacock feather, he became stunned and he went into ecstasy and fell down, unconscious. The king was there. He was a Muslim government, obviously. So he doesn't understand what this higher transcendental nature. Then if you tell the truth, he will get bewildered and he will have hundreds of questions and he may not believe it and so many things. Then he played diplomatically. He told, how come? How did you fall down? You are a doctor. What happened? Any problem? And he told, I have epilepsy. That's why I fell down. But he could understand. King could understand. So he's not ordinary person. So but this is the great advanced Vaishnavas, like in Prabhupada case, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's case, advanced devotees we see in today's world also. So Jananivas Prabhu, you see, very advanced devotees, but when you see them, many times devotees push right, he's there, just side. We tell, but he is no. Why are you doing that? Let them go. Let them take darshan and generally very cool, very calm. He's not, I'm a great devotee, so give side or something. He's not feeling in that way at all. He's very simple, he's down to earth. So when they are advanced, they're completely, at a different platform. But sometimes, but again, in some cases, it is very hard to distinguish or understand, like in Lord Nityananda Prabhu's case, Pondarik Vidyan's case, where they are wearing jewelry and so much externally, so much opulent. When somebody sees that, oh, how come? He doesn't look like a devotee, he's so much showcase. He's just showing up with so much opulent, he's so much in material, attachment. But actually, in reality, Pundarika Vidyanidhi is not in that. He is internally fully conscious. So, it is just to hide actually from those who are too much attached to the material things. So they want to hide the things. So for that reason, so they may behave in that externally. But these are all for advanced devotees. So depending on whom we are talking, depending on so what we are talking, so it is difficult to say what is happening there, in whose case. But either way, so we shouldn't be worried if they are behaving that, and they let them. Lord will decide what is going to happen, or based on what kind of activity or how they are conducting. So it is not our problem to distinguish or not our problem to decide why they are behaving in such a way. So if they are behaving rudely or wrongly in a different way to us, then we neglect it. We just carry on. Our duty is to serve Sri Prabhupada, our duty is to serve Supreme Lord Shri Krishna and his devotees. And whoever is favorable, whoever is accepting our service, then we serve them and serve our spiritual master. Obviously, we have to serve our devotees directly, not just serving the Lord. We discussed in this morning class also. Krishna is clearly mentioning those who are serving directly me, they are not my devotees. Those who are serving my devotee, because those who are serving directly to Lord Krishna, what does that mean? It is indicating that Krishna is telling they are not my devotee because they are trying to approach Krishna directly, which is not the right way to do it. Lord will never be pleased. We may surrender so many things we may try to do directly, but if you are not serving through devotees, that's why Bonaparte spiritual master is there, because he is the transparent via medium. Because only through him he can receive. Because we don't have a qualification. That's why it's called Dasanu Dasanu Das. As King Kulasekara is praying, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has mentioned. So we are not directly servant. We are servant of. Anybody will take a look. Sri Prabhupada is the servant of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. This goes all the way to Srimad Radharani. That whole parampara. They are not directly serving. Even Rupa Goswami, in this case, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, and Rupa Goswami serving even his brother, Sanatana Goswami, and other Vaishnavas in Vrindavan and other places constantly. And then obviously Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he was initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, directly received instructions. So even in Golok Vrindavan also, Swami is not ordinary, he is the Rati Manjari. So in Golok Vrindavan, they are assisting Lalita and Vishaka, Sakhi of Radharani's associates. So they are not directly serving Radha and Krishna. They are serving through others. Swarup Damodar Goswami Ramanand Rai, they are Lalita and Vishaka in Gaur Leela, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. So that's why we see that not directly serving, we are serving through devotees. Otherwise, when we serve directly to the Lord, we may create even offenses also. That is also there, because we don't understand what is the actual quality, what is the absolute truth. Neither we understand the tattva of the Nama tattva, we don't understand the Leela tattva, we don't understand the Rupa tattva, we don't understand the Leela tattva, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. None of these we understand the tattva. Then how are we going to really attain the love for Krishna by directly serving? In order for us to, if you need to walk on fire, can you directly enter into fire and walk? No, you cannot. We have to have the same quality as fire, then you can enter into fire and walk. So Brahma Janati iti Brahma. When you are Brahman, then you can enter into Brahman. That's why Shastra. Nobody can enter into spiritual world unless you are at the same quality as the purity. Same way, so unless we serve the pure devotees, the bona fide spiritual master and advanced devotees, then we come from that impurity to purity. Then by that mercy, by their mercy, we will attain Krishna. Because we will come to that pure platform. Because when the real leader, as we are discussing, real leader, spiritual leader means they always constantly shower their mercy on those who are juniors, those who are coming up in this platform, coming up in this path. They are always nourishing them, always guiding them, always showering mercy, always compassionate. And so many examples we see throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, whether it's Narada Muni, Prahlad Maharaj, you see throughout Mr. Prabhupada's case, even now, the disciples of Sri Prabhupada. So all these characteristics we can see clearly. So that's why we have to serve. So if somebody is not favorable, somebody is not present, not behaving in a Vaishnava way, not behaving based on their seniority and authority, then let Lord and authority or GBC, whoever guiding them or being guided under, whoever is spiritual master, whoever is Shiksha Guru, it is their problem. It is their it is theirs jurisdiction. It is not our jurisdiction. So we shouldn't judge. We should leave, because our focus, our focus should never be deviated from our actual path. Our path should be clear. Our path is, let me do sadhana, let me serve devotees wherever possible, in whatever way I can. That's all. That should be our focus. And how I can improve every day, that should be our only focus. How I can improve my consciousness, how I can improve my service, how I can improve my worshipping the deity, what can I add, what can I do better. Even small things also, how can I improve it? The consciousness must be improved. That is the main idea. It is not so much about the quantity or the timing. It might be the same timing, but the quality must be improved also. Many times our chanting, our relationship, our rasa, so with what mood we approach the Lord, all these things are very important. It must be personal. More we become personal, that's why the deity worship is important. Otherwise we become impersonal. So that when we are personal, then just like we feel our babies, the boys or girls and daughters and sons, we feel them, we touch their head, we dress them, we feed them. We are so personal. But when it comes to the Archa Vigraha, when it comes to the Lord and devotees, we become impersonal. We become insensitive. So we do rashly, we are hurry, we are in so much. But same thing we don't do most of the time with our own kids. But so this is the reflection, this is the introspection, this is the thought process we have to apply, and it requires practice. It cannot be done so easily. It requires practice. I hope that.
Yes, Prabhuji, especially when you said that think every day about your sadhana and how you can serve. That's a beautiful focus. Anything else should not be, you should not be deviated with anything else. That was like very, very wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll sing Damodarashtam. If you have questions, please you can call me or text me. Tomorrow we'll discuss. Let's do Damodarashtam already. Super late. नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमानं यशोदाभियोलोकलाद्धवमानं परामृष्टमात्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्य रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रं युग्मं व्रजन्तं कराम्भोजयुग्मेन सतङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पात्रिरेकङ्ककान्ता स्थिताग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबाधम् इति द्रक्ष्वलीलाभिरनन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तैर्जितात्वा पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं प्रणेहं वरे सदपीह इदं देवपूर्णाद गोपालभालं सदा मे मनस अविरास्तं किं मन्ये इदं ते मुकाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलये व्रतां कुन्तलैः स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्य मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनसे अविरास्तम् अलं लक्षलाभै नमो देव दामोदरानन्त विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजलाब्धिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृत्त्यातिदिनं बतानो गृहाणे च माम् आज्ञम् अधिक्षिदृश्य कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमृत्यैव याध्व त्वया मोसितौ भक्तिभजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तुधाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायात विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वादीया प्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्याम् नमामि स्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् जय राधा दामोदर राधे राधा दामोदर की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तों की जय. Quickly translation: to the Supreme Lord, whose form is embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge and bliss, whose sharp-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who I, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a string, is quickly running from a wooden grinding mortar in the fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with the greatest speed. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. And Thanksgiving is coming up, so you can buy some sharp-shaped earrings for Radha Shyamsundar or Jagannath Baldev, Shri Gaurnitai. So it doesn't cost you much. So this way we can offer in this special month. So seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. So we can buy a necklace of pearls also, as is mentioned. So they are available online also, many of these. So we can see it doesn't need to be expensive. It's just sharing our love and wealth with the Supreme Lord out of our as a whatever relation we want to have, as a parent, as a father, or as a son, as a friend, however. But that doesn't need to be theoretically thinking of it. But just as a master, right now we should think the Lord as a master and serve the master as a duty, as a servant. So later on, when we become mature, the relationship will be revealed and enhanced. So number 3, by such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. You see, so much talking about intimacy and personal, not impersonal. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopala in Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart, for what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me by showering your glance of mercy upon me. Deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in the ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. Verse number 7, translation. O Lord Damodara, just as the 2 sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you, in your form as baby tied with a rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. So, number 8, last. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakt ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.